Hello and welcome back to the third episode of 31 Days to Wellbeing in Season 2 where we're looking at sleep. I am Zach, I'm joined by Michael and we'll reintroduce in a minute. So over the course of this month, if you've listened to episode 1 and 2, you'll know what we've been getting up to, but we're testing out lots of different things that are going to help or hinder our sleep, measuring it on our Whoop wristbands, recording everything in our journals every night, and then coming back every week to discuss what happened. In week 1, we looked at how exercise actually hindered all of our sleeps, and then in week 2, we found out the sort of holistic things that actually helped our sleep on the whole. So for week 3, we decided that we were going to design basically our own perfect routines. So using knowledge of things that we kind of had prior to even doing this season, stuff that we learned in week 1, stuff that we learned in week 2. But the main idea of it all was to make it something that you will actually do, that you can be consistent at, right? So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Michael Tarpey to reintroduce himself, but also to tell us about his perfect routine and why he chose that.
Your intro is getting smoother and smoother. You can find you on Radio 1 in a minute. Hello, everyone. I am one of the two Michaels I think we've established over the course of the last 3 weeks. This week was designing our perfect week, which is perfect because this is going to be the perfect episode. The way I kind of went about planning my week was I went into the Whoop app, which we've been using to kind of track our sleep data over the course of this month. And I tried to find sort of one lifestyle change that can improve each metric in the app and overall kind of create a more perfect sleep routine. I can go into that a little bit more in a bit, but Michael, do you want to take it away?
Hello, camera over here. Hello, Zach and Mr. Michael Tarpey. I know. Oh, toe curling. Anyway, yes, I am Michael Turnbull. I am number 2 of the Michaels.
Fresh off his Hackney half.
Fresh off my Hackney half.
Let's
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
I didn't have to say it this time. How nice. Yes, so I did just run the Hackney half. Thank you. It was awful, as expected. It was. I don't know how people run actual marathons. That was horrendous. I blasted the first 10k and just got way too overexcited, and I just couldn't keep the pace up, and it was awful. But shout out to a random guy I met on the run called Louis, who basically people kept passing me as I was walking, and they'd sort of tap me and be like, "Oh, come on, mate, you can run," and I'd start jogging again. And so I decided towards the end that I'd sort of pay that forward. So this guy was walking and I was like, "Come on, mate, you can do it." So then we ended up running the last 2 miles together, which was very sweet. And there was this very dramatic bit right at the end where he then needed to walk again, and I was like, "Mate, do you want me to wait?" He's like, "Just go," and I was like, "Okay." And then I never saw him again. But if you are watching this, Louis, which you're probably not, but shout out to Louis.
That's a love story.
I know, really nice, right?
Nice. Cute.
That's what
bringing people together.
I know, absolutely. That's what half marathons all about, I guess, other than running. But yes, my perfect routine. So basically, similarly as Tarpey, you said, I kind of wanted to do something that would hopefully improve things across the board, but also, like you said, Zach, things that I would actually be able to follow and kind of incorporate into my routine already. So happy to go into detail in a sec.
Yeah.
But I'll pass back over to you to give the outline of yours.
Okay. Yeah, I can go now. So we're trying to keep clear throughout this whole episode is that you read a lot online about all of these different perfect sleep routine, and you have to get up at 4 a.m. if you're going to be a billionaire, and you have to be asleep by 8 p.m. and have a cooling mattress, and a mattress makes you hot, and have a hot shower and a cold shower and whatever. So we were going to do that originally, and we've actually now decided to go and make our own, as we've said. So the key for mine was that it needed to be easy enough for me to be consistent with it. So first rule, so it wasn't just for at night as well, so this is throughout the whole day, but I think something we've realised throughout this so far is everything you do from the moment you wake up kind of affects your sleep later in the day. So there's no caffeine after 2 p.m, which I thought was going to be quite hard, but wasn't. I'd sort of battle through it between 2 and 3, and then you're fine. The next one was during the week at 10:30 p.m. the phone goes away, or I stop watching whatever I'm watching on the TV or my laptop or whatever. At that point, I go and make a chamomile tea, spray my bed with the lavender, and journal about my day whilst I'm drinking my tea. Then I had the option to either read or put a podcast on. And then that was it for the evening. That's me set up.
Nice.
Although at points, if my mind was still really busy, I try using Out the Moonbird, and I know there's different things on the app, which I found quite useful, I'm not going to lie. And then, so that was the sort of at-night stuff. And then over Friday and Saturday night, the 10:30 and the chamomile tea went straight out the window, but I kind of knew that was going to happen anyway. But for all 7 days, I had to wake up in the same half an hour slot, so at 6:45 to 7:15, and within the first hour be outside, whether that's going to the gym, going for a walk, or commuting, or going to something that morning. And so yeah, it was lots of kind of small things, but when you add them up, it sets on a chain of events.
Nice.
And I think you kind of touched on like almost like my word of the week and consistency.
Yeah.
And it's something that's come up in, I think, the research and the conversations and the findings we've all shared together. A consistent sleep routine, I've heard, is actually supposedly more important than the hours you actually sleep. So being able to go to bed at the same time. And a lot of my things were based around preparing me. I know you spoke about kind of like routines throughout the day, but there was something that I found really useful and a metric within the Whoop app, which I was quite surprised by throughout the month. And that was sleep events, like during the night. So essentially like how many times you wake up throughout the night. And I found just stopping drinking any sort of liquid 2 to 3 hours before you sleep halved my wake events. I went from the average of 2 per hour, which is crazy, I'm still not sure how that works, to 1.
It was 2 per hour.
But also you weren't drinking.
Serious
That's so
stats.
funny that you're like stopping drinking water and that helped. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Were you waking up because you needed a wee in the night? Like, would you remember it, or are those just the random ones that we've already realised we don't remember, but it does happen?
Yeah.
Combination of the two, like
okay.
Obviously you go to the bathroom a couple of times, but then I guess I don't know, I guess maybe if your body is kind of like processing less, then it kind of goes into a deeper sleep. And then, because it's obviously the light sleep, that's kind of 4-hour cycle where you supposedly like come back into consciousness and you wake. But yeah, that was just one of mine, and yeah, in doing so, it's improved my sleep efficiency.
Love it.
There you go.
Good for you.
Lovely. So in terms of my perfect routine, the day kind of would go as follows. So I would try and wake up between 6 and 7 every day.
Nice.
And then do 10 minutes of yoga. And then I always wanted to make sure, because sometimes when I go into the office, I will not really have proper breakfast. I'll have like a banana, and then I won't eat again till like 11, and then I just feel a bit rough at work because I'm just like not concentrating properly. So I made sure that like every day I would get up early enough between 6 and 7 to make sure that I had time to like either eat breakfast at home and like sit and eat it, or made sure that I made it like overnight oats or something the night before, so that I could take that into the office with me and have like a banana on my way in, so I knew I had like a proper breakfast. But also in conjunction with that, I've started taking these just small little supplements like omega-3, vitamin D3 and zinc. So actually this is a recommendation from my girlfriend's mum, who is a part-time personal trainer. Another shout out. Got to get audience participation up. Anyway, but she basically was saying to her like clients that she helps with their fitness sessions that the main 3 things she suggests, that was 4 fingers for anyone watching, but 3 things that you should take is omega-3, because that's obviously good for like kind of your heart health and lowers your blood pressure. D3 specifically of like the vitamin Ds, because D3 is absorbed more easily than D1 and D2 apparently. I don't know why, but I can check that out and let you all know. And then it is also good for your bones health and immunity, and zinc is also just good for your general immunity. So I was taking them, but you have to take them with meals. That's why I was eating breakfast before.
So it's all together.
And then in the evenings, kind of similar to what I touched on last week, just like having my little candles, maybe doing a little bit of yoga, or I was doing the Moonbird breathing exercises probably about 4 or 5 nights this week, which definitely did help. So that was kind of, again, breathing for 10 minutes, but also it's in a way it's also sort of meditative, because on the app there's like a little guided voice explaining the exercise too, which is quite nice. That's quite relaxing. I'd be reading in bed, and in terms of timings, I'd aim to make sure I was like in my room by like 10:30 latest, but probably like in my room by 10 and sort of pottering about, but in bed by 10:30 reading, asleep by 11.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the routine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Similar.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think, I don't know, for anyone listening along as well, everyone realistically has their own perfect sleep routine, but it's interesting we have quite similar ranges that run through it. And I was looking this up out more out of interest actually this afternoon before we came down here to record. And we, with those sleep times and wake up times, fall exactly into the UK average, which I didn't realise.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like 6:43 is the time that everyone wakes up. 48% of people in the UK wake up at, and then they go to bed between 10:30 and 11. Yeah.
6:43 a.m.
Yeah.
And that's the average for the whole of the UK.
Yeah, I think so.
That's interesting, because I was looking up, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, because I was speaking to a friend and she was talking about the study where they looked at like that 8 hours of sleep a night that everyone is sort of like says is like the optimal, is actually only based off male participants.
Yeah.
So obviously good old medical bias coming into play there. But interestingly, they sort of have done more studies where they've, thankfully included female participants, and like it's interesting that women on average at least need 11 minutes more sleep than men. But then, like in terms of the hours, it varies between studies, but sometimes some of them have found that like women actually need like 9 hours, whereas men only need 8. And when women are like on their cycle, like menstruating, they need 10 hours, which is very interesting. I just thought that was interesting little fact. But yeah, it's interesting that that's also the UK average generally though. So yeah.
Fun. There you go, a little factoid.
There you go. Learn something new every day.
I hear your fact.
You raise me another fact.
And I raise you with another.
Oh, please.
So it turns out that to fall asleep, your body temperature has to drop by 1 degree.
Ooh.
Now, just through sort of like personal experience, and I've heard other people say this before, people enjoy sleeping with the windows open, or I guess like me, if you live in like a busy part of the city, the traffic's too loud. So I've got these 2 big tower fans, and throughout the week I just turned them onto max and had them blasting, and found that super refreshing, and found myself going to sleep, I think, a lot quicker than I did otherwise.
That is interesting.
Do they kind of ambient noise as well as making it cold as well?
No, they're a horrible whirring one.
Oh, okay.
And I think one of them's broken. Someone's got a click to it as well.
Oh, okay. So it's not like the nice sort of background noise.
Nah,
it's not the.
It's not quite.
What's it called? Like grey noise or brown
White
noise?
noise, yeah.
No, there's the in between, like the crackling of a TV.
That's annoying noise.
One colour shade. I don't know what it is.
Anyway, one of the noises. But yeah, interesting. So you've got your fans on. Yeah. Not drinking any water, so you don't have to go for a midnight wee. What are we on to next?
So this was a more sort of general one. Like, I felt like to create the perfect routine, it's kind of synonymous with wholesomeness. And to follow that, I gave myself a weekend off from like drinking, going out, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And as a result, the kind of my average sleep times improved, and I also felt, which I have experienced in previous weeks, I didn't end up on Monday and Tuesday with some crazy sleep deficit that I'm kind of like sort of battling for the first like half of the week realistically.
Yeah.
So not only did I feel like I enjoyed my weekend more, but I was way more productive and kind of energetic for Monday and Tuesday.
Love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Do you want to touch on whether it actually had an effect? I think is a good one to go to next.
Yeah, so interestingly, my stats, some of them improved, some of them slightly decreased. So actually, they're all up from last week.
Okay.
But in comparison maybe to April, some of them are slightly varied. So like in comparison to last week, all of them are up, which I think to me makes sense purely because I think the kind of having that extra time in the evening, setting that time aside to get into like my room and my bed earlier, definitely just helped my mind calm down and get me ready for sleep. So I think just that consistency of the routine was definitely really helpful for me, and the waking up at similar times in the morning also definitely helped. Yeah, I think also, weirdly, my sleep was the best on Friday night, which is quite funny because that's the night I went to see Olivia Rodrigo. So I'd obviously be like, yeah! I was literally like, I turned into like some 14-year-old girl. I was like, yeah! Living my best life. All the 14-year-old girls around me and my girlfriend and her mates, they were probably like, what is this boy doing? She brought out Liliana at one point. I lost my head. I literally was like, yeah!
That's cool to be
No
fair.
one
Yeah,
knew
I
the
love
lyrics
that.
because obviously they're all like too young because they don't know the album, they don't know Smile. So then they were like, had no idea what's going on. But anyway, I'd obviously had lived my best life. Went to sleep all like
Tied
snuggly.
yourself out, got
got
tucked in at
tucked in. Had the best sleep of the week. Anyway, but yeah, on the whole, I would
So
say
good.
this was a good week for my sleep. Other than Saturday night before the run, because I think I was just very nervous. But then after that, great sleep. So yeah.
Because that's interesting, because this is something we wanted to look at before we did this season, right? Is how do the sort of nerves the night before actually affect your sleep? So how much worse did it get? Was it kind of genuinely noticeable, or was it like a bit of a dip?
Interestingly, yeah, so my sleep on Saturday. So weirdly, my like sleep quality was only affected like 5 or 6%.
Okay.
And my recovery was quite good, but I just I physically felt like so stressed, and like it said that I'd only slept for like 5 hours because I couldn't get to sleep at all.
Okay.
So the actual quality, it said like, yes, your quality was good, but the actual number of hours I spent in bed was only like 7 in bed, but I think I was actually asleep for like 5.5.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
so yeah, because I just kept being like, I just kept waking up as well and having weird dreams. I think definitely the half marathon was playing on my mind, but it's done now,
Free.
so all good.
Love that. Okay. Well, not love that. I don't love the fact you had a bad sleep, but it's interesting to have it actually quantified almost, the sort of jitters the night before something.
No, for sure. How did you guys get on?
Mine was another uptick, but quite drastically in some cases, which was interesting. So compared to so it's better than better than week 1, better than week 2, but also better than the general in April. So the baseline by a lot. So my kind of total hours of sleep has gone up 45 minutes since we started doing this, and we've been doing this for 3 weeks. So it's quite a sizable amount of time.
That's a lot. That's a huge increase.
Yeah. And I before used to think like be asleep at 12, like 15:15 midnight, wake up at 6:45. That was always, I was like, okay, I can work on 6.5 hours. But what I've discovered from the Whoop, and like we've been discussing with the wake up events in the night and the not being able to get to sleep, your time in bed is obviously not the time you're asleep. So I've added that extra hour and a half this week and actually hit the amount of sleep I thought that I was getting for the last 10 years, basically. So an extra 45 minutes, my recovery was better, all of the efficiency was exactly the same, but that was at like the peak level it was supposed to be at. The quality went up like 13%. It's all just great, basically. And I think it's possibly not the most sort of profound thing that we've learned, but going to bed earlier means you sleep for longer.
Yeah.
And I never used to do that. I never had that consistency, but because I had the rule and because I made it kind of, nice, I'll get the tea, I'll do the lavender, all la la la, and it becomes a routine. Then I actually kind of looked forward to it. It wasn't, I've got to go to bed. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. So yeah.
But it's brilliant as well. Like we're week 3 now. We are in the second half of the month, and like you said, it's not the most sort of profound findings in the world, but it is conclusive. Like,
sure. No,
like
definitely.
these adjustments and changes that we're making are making a difference. And I wanted to ask you both, like, how are you just genuinely feeling? Like, stats aside, like all of this, like how are you actually just feeling?
Yeah.
Like this week.
Yeah. Do you know what? Definitely, I think particularly after this week, a lot better. I think the first 2 weeks, obviously it was helping my sleep, but I think I was kind of getting into the routine of like adding the podcast into our lives as well as like the sleep adjustments we were trying to make. So I think I was kind of getting used to that and like figuring out my headspace with all of that. And then like now I'm kind of feel like I'm kind of really hitting my stride with it, and like I just do think the consistency of the routine this week really helped like solidify and improve my sleep overall.
Absolutely.
To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
But it's wild. You get told all the time about, if you have longer sleep, then the rest of your life's going to get better. It really does.
It really,
Like,
100%.
I have so much more energy in the mornings. I feel genuinely tired at night for once, which is beyond me.
nice,
Usually
yeah.
I'm so awake.
Yeah.
Maybe I am that
You're the
morning.
night owl.
Yeah, I'm no longer the night owl.
Yeah, you'd be protecting the tribe in the morning instead.
Yeah. And then, a kind of loss of brain fog, which is something that's quite common for me. Usually,
That's so
I just,
good.
like
Brilliant.
You don't
at
have
periods
that,
in the day, I just sort of staring in space, not really knowing what's going on, but that's beginning to disappear. I feel like I want to go and do exercise.
Yeah, awesome.
Like, yeah, it's just
Love it.
upticks in everything. It's bizarre, right? Like, it really does change everything. What about you?
Yeah, and it's like it's knock-on effects because, like you, I'm genuinely tired in the evening. I now have experienced what good sleep feels like enough times this month that when it is like 10 o'clock and I would probably usually be tempted to go on YouTube or like TikTok or something, like I've actually got a level of motivation I didn't have before because I know how good I'll feel the next day. And then all the kind of things which like deplete your sleep efficiency and quality, like caffeine, I'm finding myself not needing. And I think like one of your things you said you did this week was avoid caffeine. I did a similar thing. I found a 10-3-2-1 technique, which is like 10 hours before you sleep, you stop having caffeine so there's enough time to leave the system. 3 hours before you sleep, you stop food and drink. 2 hours, you stop working. 1 hour screen time. And my data kind of like reflected that. I didn't have any like radical spikes, but again, it consistently improved as the week wore on.
Nice.
So like a build up of this continued habits showed itself in like both how I felt and then through the data too.
Love it.
Love it.
It is just a completely sort of a habitual thing, isn't it? It's like as long as you can learn the basic rules, which clearly we didn't really have before this, which is some people are going to be listening and like, well, obviously go to bed earlier and obviously don't watch your phone in bed. But I think like we're part of the generation that's kind of pretty normalised for us. Yeah.
It's almost like you gotta try it until you really like can experience it and feel the benefits and know what we're trying to say.
Yeah. It's bad. Yeah. I didn't think we were going to genuinely see quite a big upturn in all of our sleep
really
over
nice.
the 3 weeks, so it's fun to see. I wanted to bring up something because getting back to that, kind of getting involved with the viewers. So one of the comments on the recent episode was delving into a bit more detail as to what happens when we have drunk alcohol and whether it has affected our sleep. So due to medical grounds, you'll be ruled out from this weekend by the sounds of things due to your abstaining.
Yeah.
I took a look back at the couple of times I had a drink last week, and the time where I only had like 2 or 3 and I had them all kind of post-work drinks time and had stopped drinking maybe 2-3 hours before I was going to bed, absolutely no effect on my sleep. Completely fine. Feel like it's probably begun to leave my system and I'd rehydrated and whatever. So the time where I had been drinking quite a lot, it was the boxing, so I'd watched that late into the night and had a late night. Absolutely terrible, worst sleep of the week. But the thing that combated it for me was still getting up. I don't think this is the main one. It's the same time wake up every day within that half an hour. Because I went to sleep at 2:30 a.m. I still got up at 7. So I felt terrible throughout the day. But because I hadn't slept in, it hadn't messed up my sleeping pattern. And I just got an early night later that day. So instead of sleeping in, it's just wake up, get through it. Kind of like you're supposed to do with jet lag, right? You're supposed to just try and get through to the next evening and then get back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really drinking at all this week due to my half marathon. So I only had a few drinks on Sunday after the half, but then we stopped drinking probably around 5:30, 6 because me and a couple of my other friends who ran it, we were also knackered,
tired,
and so we were like, don't really want to like stay up late. So I think so I stopped drinking probably like 4 or 5 hours before I actually went to sleep. So again, didn't really have any effect. But to echo your point, on nights when I have been out late and drinking, it this month, like there's probably been probably about 2 or 3 of those occasions is like catastrophic. Like very low double digit or even single digit recovery. Like it's like so bad. Like it's
On your last legs.
mental. So there was like a specific night in particular. Like I was probably went to bed at like 2:30, 3. Had been drinking till like 1:30, and then woke up at like 7:38. So I just felt awful.
Were any of your stats unaffected by alcohol? Because I thought you were a bit of an
anomaly. So that was the reference you're making. Yes, is the first week. So, but that again, I'd been drinking a lot, but I'd actually stopped drinking early those times and had slept in quite late later the next morning, probably like 9:30, 10. So I'd had enough time to like sleep it off. Whereas there's one specific occasion, like maybe like last week and a half ago, I can't remember when it was, but like that was by far the worst because it was like the coupling of late night drinking and lack of sleep.
I suppose
I was going to say more profound findings.
Profound
Alcohol's bad for sleep.
yeah. So
there you have it, guys.
Yeah.
Heard it here first.
Well, that's the end of the episode.
Groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah. Go to bed earlier.
Yeah, really changing the game here.
Yeah. Oh God, terrible. Just because, and we probably should have touched on it earlier in the episode, but how was your sort of sleep hygiene prior to the month anyway? Like your routine, the consistency of it, the sort of prevention of screens in bed, the same time going to sleep, whatever. Like, how was that?
I'd say, for me,
Of course.
Yeah. My sleep hygiene, my schedule, my consistency was like totally erratic. Like going to bedtime would vary, or would probably fluctuate in a sort of a 3 to 4 hour range. There was a combination of sleeping across like my parents' house, my flat, my girlfriend's place, like, and that's one of the sort of whoop questions they give.
Yeah.
Like, are you sleeping in the same place each night? Like, is your environment changing? And it is regularly, and I think that in itself. Because also, you forget things. Like this week, something that impacted me. I've got my eye mask for like two or three of the nights, and that is something that I've built into my routine, and that is something that I like. I
totally
rely on
agree.
now.
It's
Yeah,
kind of crucial. Yeah.
Thank you. This guy's laughing.
No, but it is.
Do you both sleep with the curtains open?
No,
No.
But I don't. Against my will, I do that. I don't do that. That's not coming from me.
Yeah.
I regularly have I say argument. It's not an argument. It's that my girlfriend likes to sleep with natural light, and I don't because there's
You politely
so
agree that
much.
she's right.
I politely agree that she's right. No, but she did kindly get me an eye mask, which I do wear because.
It's the cool one, isn't it?
It's
like
really nice. It's probably
one.
like a nice silk one.
Yeah.
But I just hate any light. And also, especially in London, it's so artificial because of all the street lights and stuff. I don't mind it in the morning, but it's rough at night when it's just all this unnecessary light coming in, and that is actually linked. Studies have shown that is linked to like onset of just another factoid here.
Yeah, snuck that one in.
Is actually linked to like potential onset of like. Can be linked to onset of like depression and like linked to like high risk of heart disease in later life and stuff because that melatonin which you need to actually get off to sleep is being inhibited because of that unnecessary light.
Interesting.
But yes, so your eye mask is crucial.
Yeah,
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, Tarpey.
Take my scoffing back.
No. Didn't you say that you've got pink earmuffs to block out the sound? Anyway, but yeah. So the
you just left me no way to get back there.
Where's it purple?
He's caught me with a sneaky one.
The old undercut. But yeah, no. To be fair, that was actually. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but the blue artificial light apparently really messes up like your circadian rhythm.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Very circadian
Another
rhythm,
factoid.
yeah.
And
It's a very different episode.
we need to wrap this up. And so to combat that and not inhibit my melatonin levels, I have been using a like soft orange glow bed lamp, which goes on another couple hours before bed, and it is part of my sleep routine along with my eye mask.
Yeah,
I love it.
I just wanted to quickly mention before we start kind of winding down proceedings.
Pardon the pun.
Exactly. Thank you to the viewers who actually did respond to the poll last week, which I forgot to bring up last week, so thank you. And the only person this week that responded to our question about what is your nightly ritual that you can't live without was my cousin, so thank you, my cousin. And she responded that a nice hot bath. helps her, which we actually all said that we were not really bath people. But good to know that the eye mask is yours. The bath is my cousin's. Mine would probably be yoga. What would yours be, Zach? Just getting it back to some audience participation, guys.
It's only one more episode after this, right?
What was the question? Sorry.
What's a nightly ritual you can't live without?
Since I started doing it, the old lavender spray.
Oh, there you go.
I started to sneak into the daytime as well. I feel like when I'm a bit bored, I'll just go around going for all the sprays for no reason. Yeah.
Lame. Lovely.
It's probably going to be some intense cutting that goes around the giggles. Okay, so that wraps up the third episode of 31 Days to Wellbeing Sleep. For next week, we're actually going to be doing a bit of an extended episode to see out the final 10 days in May, where we're going to be undertaking something called Rogue, where it's going to be all of the kind of weird and wacky ones. We are going to invite the viewers to actually suggest ones that, well, for one day, something that we're going to do. Tonight's first one, which I'm not really looking forward to, if I'm honest, is actually sleeping on the floor, which is going to be...
I thought that was tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it's actually tonight.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, come back to hear about sleeping on the floor, taping up your mouth, having a nightcap works, and everything else. So, thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week. So, goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.
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 Goodbye.